Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, January the 6th, 2025. Now, I always start with where is the moon, because the moon represents the public tone, the public reactions, and the moon, as we start the new work week of the new year, the moon is in ambitious, assertive Aries. That moon in Aries is motivating us to take action, to go for it. However, you need to be mindful because communication, decision-making Mercury is squaring or in tension with foggy, nebulous Neptune. Now, this Mercury-Neptune for the day, there could be a lot of misunderstandings. Got to be careful of that. Or you may be very unfocused and prone to daydreaming. Or Mercury, news and information that you are receiving or that you are assuming could not be completely accurate or dishonest. So just be careful, because also with the moon in Aries, you're more inclined to jump to conclusions with this misinformation. So just breathe, think before you act. On Tuesday, the moon continues in assertive, fiery Aries, but by 1-2 p.m. Pacific time, the moon in fiery Aries will be in a tension, a square, to warrior Mars. That could be an hour or two of Pacific time in the early afternoon. There could be a lot of anxiousness, reactiveness, being more prone to being argumentative, very nervous. At 2:11 p.m. Pacific time, the moon leaves that fiery Aries and moves into earthy Taurus for 2.5 days. Taurus is steady, it's calming, it's persevering. Now, that will last for the rest of the day as we go into Wednesday. The moon, continuing in that steady Taurus, will be in harmony late afternoon, 4, 5, 6 p.m. Pacific time, to Saturn. Saturn is grounding, stabilizing, and when it's in harmony with the moon, it's good for business. It's good for feeling more emotionally secure and grounded. It's a very maturing kind of energies, late afternoon Pacific time. On Thursday, the moon continues in steady Taurus, but around 6, 7 a.m. Pacific time, the moon in Taurus will cross over disruptive, shocking, liberating Uranus. This happens once a month because that's the cycle of the moon. And when the moon crosses over Uranus, there could be these sudden emotional upsets, emotional anxiousness. The positive, well, is how can we turn this around in the positive? Because the moon can represent our old patterns and habits. Crossing over Uranus, it can help bring more insight to these old stuck patterns and be able to break any limiting habits. Now, by mid-afternoon, the moon will be in harmony with Mars. Mid-afternoon Pacific time. That's also giving a lot of energy and robust energy to accomplish your goals. But fortunately, with the moon in Taurus, you're not going to jump in over, and make impulsive decisions, because the moon in Taurus is calming you down and keeping you steady. Now, by 5:07 p.m. Pacific time, the moon goes into Gemini. Gemini is very different energy than Taurus, because Taurus is very calming, Gemini could be a bit jittery. It's restless. It's all this. It's very talkative. It's wanting to, run around and do errands. Now, that moon will remain in Gemini for 2.5 days. But right after it goes into Gemini, 5:07 p.m. Pacific time, it's going to be in harmony with Pluto. So we're being able to really express, that's that Gemini, our heartfelt feelings, the moon, in very deep, profound ways. And perhaps connect more authentically, or would that moon Pluto be more open to more profound conversations? That's early evening Pacific time. Friday, the moon is continuing in adaptable, flexible, stimulating Gemini around 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific time. The moon, once a month, is going to cross over expansive Jupiter. A moon is your feelings and your emotions. With Jupiter, overall, the public may be feeling more optimistic, more enthusiastic, feeling luckier, and all things Jupiter may come to mind. You might be really thinking about educational plans, or travel plans. That's all the Jupiter. But as optimistic and friendly the moon Jupiter is around 2, 3, 4 p.m. Pacific time, by 7, 8 p.m. Pacific time, the moon will be squaring or in tension with restricted Saturn. So in some ways, maybe many of you will, with that moon Jupiter, have overinflated expectations, take on big projects, overdo it. And then a few hours later, when the moon is with restricted Saturn, you could be feeling like, did I take on too much? And then you're pulling back. You could be more worried about being able to accomplish all these things you might have been promised, or you've been feeling you can go for it. On Saturday, the moon continues in flexible, conversational Gemini, but it's going to square or be in tension with Neptune, 3, 4 p.m. Pacific time. That could be a lot of being unfocused, being emotionally confused, and then the moon goes void of course. 4:04 p.m. Pacific time till 8:25 p.m. Pacific time, at which point the emotional moon leaves Gemini and goes into Cancer. As I discuss usually once a week, when the moon is void of course, it's about ready to change signs, but it's no longer making any aspects to the other planets in the chart until it moves into Cancer. So the moon not triggering any other planets, the energy is flat. It's unproductive. And so you don't want to initiate new project because you don't really have the energy to push through. It is good to stay with the same routine, good for resting, good for introspection, but not advised to launch any important new events. On Sunday, with the moon in Cancer, Cancer is nurturing, it's more reflective, it's more caring, it's more family-oriented. And on Sunday, the moon will be in harmony with loving Venus, mid-afternoon Pacific time. So you're going to be more this loving, nurturing energies. It's good for socializing. It's good for romance. And all day, assertive Mars will be trining or in harmony with nebulous but idealistic Neptune. Mars-Neptune is a day that's very favorable for charity, for helping those less fortunate. But on a more individual level, Mars is very physical. Neptune can be very rhythmic and musical. Mars-Neptune could be very favorable for dancing, but also for swimming, because Neptune is the goddess of the seas. And the last half of the day of Pacific time, the Sun in Capricorn will be trining or in harmony with progressive, inventive Uranus. Now, Uranus also represents technology, so you may be more open to buying new software and new laptop, getting more involved with AI, learning all these new technological techniques. But on a broader level, that Sun Uranus is stimulating you to get out of any safe routine, take a chance, really shake things up, and try to reinvent yourself by doing something new. So, I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.